Hello, here to take us through the international newspapers is Kyle Brown. Hello, Kyle.
Hello.
Now, we're starting off with the Republican convention. Of course, that's just wrapped up. And the party slogan there, "We built it."
Yes, indeed. Now let's just explain a bit of the context there, because a few weeks ago, Barack Obama gave a speech basically saying that, in America, we're quite lucky, he says, because the roads have been built, there's great infrastructure, communications, and, you didn't build that. You have a company. You've, of course, been enabled to create all of this because of that infrastructure. Now, of course, there's been a bit of a cut and paste job, and Republicans are saying, wait a sec, I built this company, but he's saying you didn't build that. And they've just taken that and ran with it. And they ended up saying, hauling out a number of independent business people and Republicans, lining up to say, I built that. And last night, of course, we saw Clint Eastwood, and, he was expected to say, I built all of that. Huffington Post says, well, there's just a problem with him saying he built his career as a filmmaker and they outline a whole list of tax credits that he's received, all kinds of assistance, obviously, from the government, not just at home, but abroad. And so they outline, that he's got 42% tax credit in 2008 when he was filming Gran Marino. In 2003, he was filming Mystic River, got a tax credit there. And abroad in South Africa, got credits in the filming of Invictus. And the list goes on. And so the Huffington Post has just a little problem with the balance sheet there. He did do that, but obviously with some help.
And moving on to the New York Times, pointing out some more serious problems with Republican sloganeering.
Yes, a bit of the taking aim basically at the Medicare campaign platform of VP candidate Paul Ryan, and in particular the fact that his plan includes a voucher system, but New York Times says that nowhere in the speech that he gave to the convention was there any mention of vouchers at all. And New York Times says that there was no mention of that for a reason. Now let's just you have on the screens there a mention of another article in the New York Times, and that was a kind of a surreal look at that whole sloganeering that we've got going on about us not building it. And that's Roger Cohen saying, I built this article all by myself, and then he goes on to say, I needed a laptop to write it, but then I discovered it was probably built in China, so I had to bin that. And then I took up a pen, but then I discovered it was built in India, and the list goes on. So it's a bit of a satirical look in the New York Times as well at just how vacuous this whole series of speeches has become.
All right, so moving on from the Republican convention where Mitt Romney accepted the nomination for the presidential race, the Democrats are next, and The Economist says that it's going to take some convincing for Barack Obama to be re-elected.
Yes, The Economist invokes the speeches of hope, the campaigns of 4 years ago, and they said that, he's come nowhere near producing the results that he had led everyone to expect. And they detail a few things, and not least, the progress on the environment. There has been very little progress. 3 million more Americans out of work than 4 years ago. National debt, $5 trillion higher than it was 4 years ago. And the partisan gridlock, of course, getting worse. And they say, yes, on the other hand, he inherited an economy in free fall, which, was largely attributable to the predecessors, the Republicans, who were largely profligate, obviously, needless to say. And he says, The Economist says that Obama's claim that it would have been much worse were it not for his stimulus plan. And, they detail, for example, saving to some extent the auto industry and the car makers in Detroit. They say that's not quite enough to convince them that he's up for re-election. They say he'll need to prove it at his convention.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Kyle. Thank you for watching. Do stay tuned to France 24.